Hello everyone and welcome back to JB's Total Gaming, where today we're going to take a look at the Arbitration Alerts. Now there were several new updates with the update today, including 2 new melee weapons and things like that. We're not going to talk about the whole update, we're just going to talk about the Arbitration Alerts and let you know everything you need to know for them. They will show up hourly and change every hour, and a real interesting thing about these is that there's going to be special bonuses. So for example, this one, Volt, will have 300% strength, Falcor will have 300% more damage. So an interesting little thing to get you to maybe you have a bunch of Warframes in the stable that you haven't really got out, a bunch of weapons that you don't really use. Well, this will give you an opportunity to go try those things out with a lot more power, which is one thing I definitely like about it. Now, if these are not showing up in your alerts tab, that's because you have not completed everything in the star chart. So you do need to complete all the little nodes in the star chart. So all these little areas, if you see any flashing blue, you're going to need to do them. In case you need any help figuring out what you need to do, you can go to any relay, and if you go to the Arbiters of Hexus, then the person on the left, as you're coming in the door, there's a person on the right that you can sell the marks or whatever their thing is called to get more standing if you do their standing missions here. And then on the left side of the door as you enter, then there's going to be someone that can tell you what you haven't completed, and they're also the person that you basically can trade in the special types of credits you get from doing these missions to get certain items. But let's show some footage of what this actually looks like and talk about the differences and if this is really going to be a good thing for the game. That's going to provide some content for those people who've been playing for a long time and are looking for something else to do and looking for a little bit of challenge. Now, the first big thing about these alerts is that they are lethal alerts. So what does that mean? It means you have one life, and that definitely makes things a little bit more difficult. Now, they are endless. You can keep going as long as you want. However, the reward cycle is different. Instead of getting a reward every 5 waves in defense, it'll be every 10 waves. Instead of every 5 minutes in survival, it'll be 10 minutes in survival. And the cycle is different. If you're not familiar with the reward cycle in Warframe, basically there are 3 different pools, A, B, and C, and you will get normally rewards from pool A again, then B, then C. So you have to do 20 waves to get to reward C, and then it starts over again and do another 20 if you want to get to that pool C again. This is very different. It does reward pool A, reward pool B, and then C on infinitum. So that's a pretty interesting thing, so it will allow you to get cooler rewards as you go. Now, if you happen to fail or die during the mission and be kicked out, you will get all the pool rewards that you've gotten from A, B, and C, so on and so forth, but you won't get anything you picked up off the ground. So if you decide to leave at the end of a mission, any resources or things like that you've picked up, because there are some resources that drop, unlike Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, the only way to keep those is if you eventually decide to leave the mission and do not die within the mission, do not fail, things like that. So there are a few other things. For example, there is a Arbiter-themed drone shield generator that basically goes around that protects units. You'll see that during the footage here. You definitely want to take those out. That's very important. You might not be able to do any damage without that. And you've earned this Vital Essence. That's the stuff that you can spend on that guy in the Arbiters of Hexus. Based on a number of cycles, basically, that you do, you will earn more, and then you can use that to buy things within the mission. We already talked about how different Warframes have different bonuses and things like that. There are also some other differences. Just to go through the types of missions that there are in the differences. Survival, the capsules you get from enemies are only, the life support capsules are only worth 75% of what they're normally worth. In interception, the opponent towers fill the opponent's side twice as quickly. You're always defending an NPC in defense. Defense time increases to 3 minutes on excavation. In defection, the targets have no revive states, and in the salvage, consoles have half their normal health. So those are the differences. Now let's talk about one of the potential problems of this game. Is when you die, you're dead, and when the host leaves, well, you're in trouble. There we go. I had that happen. The first time I played this, somebody didn't know there were no revives. The second time I tried to play this, the host left, and then it did that thing where it then says, hey, rejoin the session, but then you can't rejoin the session, and there goes the whole thing. And that is a potential real problem with this mode, and I hope DE finds a way to do something about that. I'm not sure exactly what they can do about that, but it is a real potential issue. In that you have this mode where if you die, you're done. But if you're the host and you leave, that screws everything up. And this is a mode that's designed to potentially go on for a really long period of time. You get better rewards the longer you go on, and while you don't get a ton of resources, a lot of groups are probably going to want to stay until they die or they fail to see how far they can make it and how good the rewards get, especially because you get from the best reward pool time and time and time again, and you want to get those resources to spend with the guy in the Arbiter's Hexus. So, do I think this mode is challenging? Yes, I do. However, bear in mind, I am still technically a newer player to the game. There are people out there that are probably more experienced than me, who know more tricks than me, have more stuff than me, who may say this isn't as challenging as they expected. Enemies do start, I believe, in the 60 to 80 range and then go up from there. And for some of you out there, this still may not be enough. Now, the only one depth thing, though, I think it does make it interesting because you can't really make mistakes, and maybe that won't be enough to keep some players interested. But I think it's really good for people like me who have played the game for a while, but I'm not that person who thinks Elite Sanctuary Onslaught is a cakewalk and is super easy and I can sleep through doing as many rounds as I want. But if you are at that level, I'm not sure. I can't speak to you if you're going to find this challenging or not. Let me know in the comments if you are one of those players. But if you aren't, I think it's challenging enough. It's a reason to fill in all the star chart. The one death thing I think is a real interesting thing that may excite those players that want that challenge. New rewards is a cool thing. However, that host migration is a thing. And are you going to want to leave the game or stick around if you die, especially if you're playing with random players, which for a lot of people like me is what you're going to be doing a lot. Maybe you really need to get into the guild and work with some people because it could be a potential issue. So there's the keys of how to play it. What's different about it? I do find it, I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I like that it's every hour. I like that it's something different all the time. And it's something to sink your teeth into. I don't know if it'll be challenging enough for the super long-term players. And I don't know if it'll be enough to be interesting for a long period of time. It'll just be something that players want to collect their rewards. And I do think that host migration may be a problem. But overall, it is a little bit more content before the big Fortuna and eventually Railjack and things like that come out. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe. Really trying to get going as a channel that does a lot of Warframe videos. Hopefully you enjoyed and spread the word. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.